Sade?
Hold on. I remember Sade is forever, she will be forever remembered as an angel, a light worker who's touched so many souls, so many lives in the Milwaukee community. She is our hero. She is forever leaving an imprint. She walks in her own path, her own life.
On the evening of April 1st, 2024, Sade Robinson, a 19-year-old college student studying criminal justice, agreed to a first date with a man she met online, Maxwell Anderson, a 33-year-old chef. They were seen dining together at a Milwaukee seafood restaurant. Surveillance footage later showed Sade entering Anderson's apartment building that night. What the footage never showed was her leaving. Hours later, Sade's vehicle was discovered on fire near Lake Michigan. The fire was intense, and the car was nearly destroyed. There was no sign of Sade. Within 24 hours, she was reported missing. The investigation quickly escalated when a severed leg washed ashore at a nearby park. DNA confirmed it belonged to Sade. In the following days, more human remains began appearing across the area. Arms, torso, flesh, found in separate parks along the lakefront. Dismembered, deliberately scattered, and partially decomposed, the pieces painted a gruesome picture. Police traced Sade's final movements through phone records and surveillance data. All paths led back to Anderson. A search of his apartment uncovered plastic tarps, saws, and blood evidence. A witness would later reveal that Anderson had shown off his basement setup, complete with tools and coverings. Weeks before the killing, he had allegedly been planning it. Anderson was arrested and charged with homicide, mutilating a corpse, hiding a corpse, and arson. During trial, jurors saw footage, maps, and evidence that placed Sade's final moments squarely within Anderson's control. After a brief deliberation, the jury delivered a unanimous verdict: guilty on all counts. What began as a casual date through an app ended in one of Milwaukee's most disturbing murder cases in recent memory. Behind the restaurant, the apartment door, and the burned vehicle was a calculated plan, one that ended a young life and shocked the city. If you enjoy real crime stories that uncover the truth, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us share real cases, spread awareness, and give a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Welcome to True Crime Uncovered, where we examine the cases that shake communities and expose what happens behind closed doors. Real stories, real people, real impact. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Sade Robinson was a 19-year-old college student enrolled in a criminal justice program in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She had set her sights on a career in law enforcement or forensic science, driven by a genuine interest in justice and investigative work. Her professors describe her as focused, responsible, and academically sound. Friends noted that she was quiet but driven, someone who preferred purposeful connections and kept her circle tight. She maintained an active but modest presence on social media, sharing updates about her education and everyday life without revealing much about her personal affairs. There were no indications of risky behavior or concerning associations. Her background was clean: no criminal history, no substance abuse, and no behavioral issues reported by educational institutions or her family. Sade maintained close relationships with her relatives and peers. She often communicated with her family and was known to update them on her whereabouts regularly. Her trusting nature, influenced by a generally safe and structured upbringing, may have played a role in her willingness to explore modern dating options, including online platforms. She believed in giving people a chance and didn't show any initial hesitation in trying out a first date with someone she met online. Sade connected with Maxwell Anderson through a dating app. The specific platform has not been publicly named, but it was a commonly used dating app for young adults in the Milwaukee area. Their communication began days before April 1st, 2024. Messages exchanged between them suggested polite conversation with mutual interest in meeting face-to-face. There were no apparent red flags in their chats based on the recovered texts. The tone remained casual, and they agreed to meet for dinner a seafood restaurant located in Milwaukee. Sade informed a few friends about the date, including the time and location, but did not express any discomfort or concerns about Anderson. On April 1st, Sade left her home in the early evening to meet Maxwell Anderson at the restaurant. Phone records show she confirmed their meeting location via text shortly before arriving. The surveillance footage later captured them dining together without incident. Maxwell Anderson was 33 years old at the time of the incident. He worked as a chef in the Milwaukee area and lived alone in an apartment near the Bayview neighborhood. His criminal record was clear of prior convictions, but his history was troubling. Several people acquainted with Anderson reported bizarre behavior. One former acquaintance described him as socially reclusive and emotionally unstable. Informal complaints and rumors of controlling behavior and fixation with violent fantasies circulated among his social circle, though none had led to law enforcement involvement. A particularly concerning account came from a known informant who had visited Anderson's basement in early 2024. The visitor later told investigators that the space was lined with plastic tarps and contained a collection of knives, saws, and other cutting tools. The informant claimed Anderson had made unsettling comments about wanting to try something different and discuss scenarios that hinted at premeditated violence. On the evening of April 1st, Sade drove herself to the seafood restaurant. Surveillance footage placed both individuals at the dining venue, showing a calm and uneventful meal. After dinner, they were seen entering Anderson's apartment building together. There is no existing video or physical witness account confirming Sade leaving Anderson's apartment after that point. Her phone activity stopped shortly afterward. Around 1 a.m. on April 2nd, surveillance cameras picked up footage of Sade's car leaving the area where Anderson resided. The vehicle was later seen abandoned near Warnemont Park, a location close to Lake Michigan. Moments later, the car burst into flames. A witness in the area observed a man walking away from the scene shortly after the fire began. The Milwaukee Fire Department responded quickly. The car was found scorched, but the license plate was still legible. It was registered to Sade Robinson. Later that day, her family filed a missing person report after failing to reach her by phone. Her known habits made the lack of contact unusual. Later on April 2nd, a severed human leg was found on the Lake Michigan shoreline near Warnemont Park. The leg was intact from the hip down, and DNA testing confirmed it belonged to Sade. Over the next several days, more remains were located: a torso in a separate park, severed arms and a foot near wooded trails, thigh tissue and additional muscle fragments. All discoveries were made within Milwaukee County, spread across parks and near lakefront access points. Forensic analysis confirmed that all remains belonged to Sade Robinson. The condition of the body parts suggested dismemberment occurred after death. However, the precise cause of death has not been publicly released, though trauma was cited in medical records. Some remains have never been recovered. With forensic evidence pointing to a homicide, Milwaukee police escalated the case. The FBI also joined due to the complexity of the disposal pattern. Investigators collected and analyzed digital data. Cell phone records showed Sade's last known location inside Anderson's apartment. License plate readers and GPS data confirmed that her vehicle traveled from Anderson's residence to the area where it was abandoned. Video footage revealed a male figure exiting the car before ignited. Shortly after abandoning the vehicle, a man matching Anderson's appearance was seen boarding a city bus nearby. These findings gave investigators sufficient probable cause to search Anderson's apartment. The search of Anderson's apartment revealed extensive forensic evidence. The basement had walls covered in plastic tarps. Multiple saws and knives, including power tools, were located. Blood traces matched to Sade were found on cutting instruments and the floor. Trash bags containing organic tissue and blood-soaked items were recovered. Luminol tests highlighted blood cleanup attempts across walls and furniture. A DVD was left playing on a loop. Its content centered on fictional scenes of dismemberment. Anderson's internet search history included disturbing entries, such as how to dismember a body, quickest way to kill someone, acid bath body disposal. Digital evidence, physical materials, and forensic findings confirmed that Sade was killed, dismembered, and partially disposed of from inside Anderson's apartment. On April 8th, 2024, Maxwell Anderson was formally arrested following a series of discoveries and investigative breakthroughs that connected him directly to the murder and dismemberment of 19-year-old college student Sade Robinson. The charges filed against Anderson were severe: first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, hiding a corpse, and arson. Each charge was backed by mounting forensic and digital evidence that placed the victim in his presence before her disappearance and showed a deliberate attempt to destroy evidence and mislead investigators. Authorities declared the crime as calculated and inhumane, highlighting the deliberate nature of the murder, the careful disposal of body parts, and the strategic destruction of Sade's vehicle. Anderson was held without bail, with prosecutors labeling him a danger to the community and a significant flight risk. As the legal process advanced, trial preparation began with the prosecution compiling critical pieces of evidence. A particularly important witness, a known acquaintance of Anderson, provided an account that added context to the crime's premeditation. The witness stated that weeks before Sade's death, Anderson had invited him into his basement. There, the space was seen lined with plastic tarps, containing saws and bondage tools. While the setup was explained away at the time, investigators later found it to be strikingly similar to the scene described in forensic reports from Anderson's residence. In building their case, prosecutors drew from a wide range of material. DNA samples collected from Anderson's apartment, including traces of Sade's blood, supported claims of her murder occurring inside the residence. Surveillance footage and cell phone location data created a timeline showing Sade entering Anderson's apartment but never leaving. Anderson was later seen abandoning her vehicle, which was later found burning near Lake Michigan. Burn patterns on the vehicle and the use of an accelerant matched materials found in Anderson's possession. Additional technical analysis revealed movement logs, license plate reader data, and digital communication history that collectively mapped out the victim's last known locations, timelines, and digital silence following the date. These records were crucial in debunking any alternative theories of Sade having voluntarily disappeared or left the area. The defense mounted a limited strategy. There were no extensive cross-examinations, and no insanity plea or claims of mental instability were introduced. Anderson's legal team did not offer any counter-narrative or explain the presence of physical evidence tying him to the murder. This approach left the prosecution's presentation largely uncontested. The trial began in June 2025. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was tense. Sade Robinson's family members were present, witnessing the full scope of the case laid out before a jury. Prosecutors introduced graphic photographic evidence, which showed the condition and location of the remains. Expert witnesses, including medical examiners and forensic analysts, provided detailed descriptions of the injuries, dismemberment techniques, and time of death estimations. The court also heard testimony from detectives who reconstructed the timeline. They confirmed that Sade was seen entering Anderson's apartment on April 1st, and that by the early hours of April 2nd, her car had been set on fire. In the days that followed, various body parts were found scattered across multiple public locations, deliberately concealed and separated. The pattern of disposal indicated an effort to make identification and recovery difficult. The jury was presented with the sequence of events, including how the remains were located across different areas, pointing to calculated post-crime activity. The deliberation took less than 30 minutes. The verdict was delivered quickly and clearly, guilty on all counts. Following the conviction, Anderson was held pending formal sentencing. He faces life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The sentencing hearing was scheduled for August 15th, 2025, at which point victim impact statements would be read before the court. Anderson showed no emotion as the verdict was read. Throughout the proceedings, he offered no public apology or acknowledgement of guilt. In the aftermath, Sade's family addressed the media and the court. Her mother remarked, "My daughter solved her own murder," referring to the trail of evidence left behind, which allowed investigators to piece together her final hours. The family called for the creation of a law in Sade's name, aimed at improving responses in missing persons cases, especially those involving young black women. Community members held vigils across Milwaukee, lighting candles and demanding systemic reform. Fundraisers were also initiated to support future advocacy efforts around legal protections for dating app users, educational outreach, and women's safety programs. Online, Movements like hashtag Justice for Sade and hashtag Say Her Name gained traction. The case reignited conversations around the vulnerability of women, especially black women, in online dating scenarios. Advocates push for better safety protocols on dating platforms, such as improved verification systems and alert functions. Public discourse turned to broader implications. Experts and citizens alike question how someone like Anderson, with troubling behavioral patterns and disturbing online searches, could go unnoticed. The call for public access to red flags or past allegations, even if they don't result in convictions, gained support. Suggestions included integrating background checks into dating apps, mandatory ID verification, and educational campaigns on first date safety. Others call for faster responses to missing persons reports, particularly for women of color who are often deprioritized in the early stages of investigations. There was increased attention to gender-based violence, and many advocated for wider access to self-defense resources, emergency sharing apps, and location-based safety tech. As the case drew to a close, certain questions remained unresolved. What was Anderson's true motive? Was it simply control, or something more? Why were some of Sade's remains never recovered? Could Anderson have committed other crimes in the past that went unnoticed? And critically, could this murder have been prevented had earlier red flags been acted on? These lingering concerns continue to fuel discussions in legal, digital, and social spaces. For many, the case of Sade Robinson is not just a tragic story of violence. It's a call to re-examine how society handles online interactions, safety warnings, and the urgency placed on finding the missing before it's too late. If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions. Thank you for joining us on this journey to seek justice and explore the truth. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.